Entering a fictional world is a magical experience. Through great storytelling, readers are quickly transported to a different time and place. They are led through life's exciting highs and devastating lows that can only be fully enjoyed through the pages of a great fantasy novel. Fantasy novel writers are responsible for taking readers on an unforgettable journey. Their pages must be filled with compelling characters and riveting plot twists. Their words must have the power to penetrate the heart. Their themes must strike a balance between good and evil. When done correctly, readers feel like they are right there in the middle of the adventure, alongside the characters. So how do you write a great fantasy novel? Hi, I'm Tanya with Servicescape.com, where we help writers like you perfect your craft. Today, we're going to explore the art of fantasy writing. Few modern fantasy writers are as prolific as J.R.R. Martin, best known for his series of epic fantasy novels, A Song of Ice and Fire. So let's start with his take on what's required to build a fantastical world. He says fantasy is silver and scarlet, indigo and azure, obsidian veined with gold and lapis lazuli. Reality is plywood and plastic, done up in mud brown and olive drab. Fantasy taste of habaneros and honey, cinnamon and cloves, rare red meats, and wines as sweet as summer. Reality is beans and tofu and ashes at the end. Now, Martin offers timeless advice for fantasy world builders. You must include taste, touch, sounds, and sights into the world you build. Your reader needs to experience your fictional world through multiple senses, just as he or she experiences the real world in order for it to be believable and effective. The world you build becomes its own character and deserves just as much attention as a character's backstory, arc, and motivation. This means creating an in-depth sketch of the fictitious world, right down to the landscape of the place, its laws and government, and the everyday lives of its citizens. So let's break this down into something more manageable. On a sheet of paper, describe how you wake up on a normal day. When you wake up, what type of light do you see? Are there windows where you sleep? Are your windows covered? What are you wearing as you move from your bed? Do you begin your day with a religious practice, such as meditation or prayer? What do you eat, and what resources are available to you for your breakfast? Do you cook? If so, how? Adding these small details to your story will help your reader feel acquainted with the world that you are building, especially if it's different than the real world. They will give your reader a sense of time and place, even if that time and place are fantastical. For example, as your character awakens, is it night or day? Is there a night at all? Is there a sun and a moon, or maybe two suns and no moon? The specifics of planetary alignment will be an important aspect of your story and needs to be a major consideration in the process of world building. When your character steps out of his or her home, what is the scenery? Is it an industrial landscape or a field of flowers? What does it smell like? Does it smell like fumes and sulfur, or does it smell like tulips? What mode of transportation does your character use? Do they travel by horse, carriage, flying cars, or maybe unicorns? Use your imagination to create endless possibilities. Keep in mind, your readers must experience these details exactly as your characters in order for the world to be believable. Now, writers often incorporate elements from both the real world and a fantastical world. So just remember, when using the real world as your world building scheme, you must include details pertinent to your characters' daily lives. The following questions will help you pinpoint key details. What is your world's history? What is its geography? Is the planet similar to Earth? Is there more than one sentient species? Does everyone speak the same language? Does magic exist in your world? So let's talk a moment about your world's history. Author Sonia Sotomayor writes, "It is important for all of us to appreciate where we come from and how that history has really shaped us in ways that we might not understand." Your fantasy novel must have a strong historical foundation. It's important that your reader have a full understanding of the world's history before introducing its characters. There needs to be common experiences that mold the characters and lead them to a particular social order and fabric that surrounds their lives. If there were wars between tribes or clans, those should be recognized by you, the author, and remembered by your characters. Geography is another important component to world building. Great authors like Tolkien provide exceptional detail and references. He's known for including entire maps of his fantastical world, the realm of Middle-earth, and the terrain of the areas. His maps move through time over thousands of years, showing how Middle-earth changed and evolved throughout its fictional history. In much the same way, that history influences your characters and their social order. So does the geography of where they live. For example, people who live in the mountains have a different culture than those who live beneath them in valleys. More importantly, a well-developed geography provides consistency to your story, particularly if your characters travel great distances. For instance, Tolkien developed the maps of the Lord of the Rings alongside the narrative so that when his characters traveled into different areas of the realm of Middle-earth, it was realistic to the reader. Your story's geography can be similar to the Earth's geography, or you can create a completely foreign environment. As the writer, you have creative authority. Just remember that whatever choice you make must be fully developed. So what about other sentient species? Returning back to Tolkien, we know that he creates multiple species of sentient beings such as elves, orcs, men, wizards, dwarves, dragons, ents, and hobbits. Each species has its own history, home, and unique role in the Middle-earth canon. The conflict over the control of magical or precious objects, such as the Ring of Power, is a continual point of contention among them, and these conflicts are born out of the histories of those species within the realm. Creating specific details about the various species and their individual and collective histories is critical in world building, and in writing an enduring fantasy like those Tolkien is famous for. Another important consideration is the language within your world. Now, Tolkien created unique languages for his characters. While this can be a complicated process, these unique languages add to the story of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, giving it a special sense of time and place. Conversely, Martin didn't create an entirely different language, but he did note when his characters were speaking language that was foreign to others in the story. Words and language reflect the characters' cultures. They are an essential component to creating a fantastical world that is believable to your readers. When developing a fantasy world, you may choose to add the element of magic. When doing so, it's important to outline the scope of the magic, including its rules, its systems. Following these parameters ensures that your readers understand and believe your magical world. In creating your system of magic, you may also find it helpful to answer these questions. These are suggested by fantasy writer Nat Russo. What is the nature of your magic user's power? Is the power natural, mystical, or arcane? Does the power come from within or without? If external, does the magician's distance from the source matter? Is the magic hereditary or is it acquired? Is it something that anybody can do with a certain proper knowledge and training? How does one go about obtaining that knowledge or training? Is your magical society hierarchical? If so, how does the magic user advance? If not, are your magic users recluses, avoiding one another whenever possible? What is the opinion of society at large about this magic? Is it accepted? Is it rejected? Are magic users exalted members of society, or are they pariahs? Do your magic users work in harmony with your culture's religious leaders, or are they at odds with one another? Thank you for watching this video on fantasy world building. I hope you found this information valuable and enjoyable. Servicescape.com is here to assist you with all of your writing and storytelling needs. Visit our website at servicescape.com to find a great copy editor before submitting your novel to publishers or publishing yourself. Finally, be sure to give this video a thumbs up And subscribe to our channel for more great videos on writing and publishing your work, grammar tips, and more. See you next time.